Hey, how's it going, man?
Going great. How are you?
Good. Let's get us all full screen. Yeah, full screen's better, I think.
Yeah, no, much better. If not, we're gonna look like
Right. Okay, there. That looks perfect.
awesome.
Wow, this has been how long in the making now? Like 3 months,
What?
4 months?
Yeah, the last time we talked about this, exactly. Yeah, and then 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, we wanted to do it, and then I messed up. So
Now, hey, happens. Shit
yeah.
happens. It's all
So
good,
you're
man.
gonna see like a shade passing behind me. That's my dog, and it's
Yeah,
gonna
I
look
saw.
like some monster just passing by. I was on another call, and they're like, "Oh, there is some shadow behind you. What is that?" And then I'm like, "No, it's just a dog. He's just big."
Yeah, I almost warned you for a second there. Oh, there. That's
There he
that's
is.
funny.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
like passing by. Like, if I close the door, he's gonna go crazy because he's weird. But
yeah. He wants full access. I get it.
yeah, yeah,
So what do you do with your dog when you go on your work trips and stuff? Because I know you mentioned you're going away again tomorrow.
yeah. Not for work actually. It's just family
Oh, for
members and
pleasure.
stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
just to the closest family members I have here are in Houston, and I'm in Dallas. So
yeah.
yeah, so I'm just going there to spend some time with them for Thanksgiving, and he comes
Nice.
with me. But the
Okay.
only time, not the only time, but when I actually have to go for work or uh,
Like out of
somewhere that
state.
I cannot have, a dog with me, then I usually let him sit with friends, and all that
Nice.
kind of stuff. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
cool.
they take care of him. He's nice. He's just a dog, demanding.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a question that I've been saving for this podcast that I've been sitting on
Is this
for
recording, by the
now.
way? Are we like
Oh yeah, we're
live?
live. Yeah, we're
Okay.
live.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see. Yeah.
I like to do like the rolling start, just to keep things casual.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah. Sounds
but
good.
at any rate, so that question, it should be a very simple question, but how does one come from grow up in Ethiopia and become a entrepreneur CEO of a game community company in Texas?
Yeah.
To start out with
Um,
an easy question, yeah.
well, that's a long journey where most of it is, I don't want to call it accident, but because I don't
Mhm.
feel anything happens by accident.
Yeah,
But a lot of things just came into place. Some of it that I worked really hard towards, whereas the other ones are really just blessings of people. I got to meet, know of, including you guys. Being able to work with you guys. So things just fall into place, and all I had to do was take opportunities when they come along,
yeah.
and also being a learner. I think
Hmm.
that's one thing. But to put it in, honesty, for me, I think wait, let me close the door.
Yeah, no problem.
The 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 main important aspect, I believe, is I didn't have any plan B's or plan C's or anything
Okay.
like that. There was only one
Yeah.
thing that has to work, because I came to the U.S. to study, and to basically change my future and my opportunities, because
Hmm.
Ethiopia is a very unfortunate place, especially if you're entrepreneurial or you're in tech, etc. It's
Right.
just not ideal for that kind of individual. And when I came here, studying and changing my future was not an option. It's like it has to happen.
Hmm.
And I didn't know how it's going to happen. Well, I thought I was just going to study computer science, um, and from there get a nice job, do really good with them, grow within the company, that kind of stuff, like any other person would think. But I've always been very driven, very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So throughout that time of like accidentally working with Stefan Tarkov. If you want to talk about it,
Hmm.
we can talk about it too. But it was an accident. I even ended up working with them, uh, to contacting other game developers just because I felt like, oh, this is a cool game. I want to be involved, to like actually becoming a company eventually. Things just started falling into place. And then, like I was saying earlier, also, I got to meet people when I came here that helped me kind of learn. How things work here,
Yeah.
just in general, like being able to learn and catch up to the things that I didn't grow up with.
Sure.
All that kind of helped. I don't know. That was a very broad question. It's very hard to answer. It was
No,
one.
I know. I kind of just snuck that up on you, but it's just, I think it's just even just conceptually, it's incredible, even without knowing the details. It's just so interesting how people wind up wherever they are today. It's very interesting.
By the way, your camera froze.
Oh, come on.
This is the part we can cut out.
We're off to such a good start. Damn it. And we're back. All right.
Okay. Let me get a sip of water so we can cut out the whole part anyway.
Thank God. Yeah. Drink break. Okay. I think that's one of those things. I think if I had been in here by myself testing and that issue happened and I tried to fix it, I would have had to restart the whole thing. But you have that that IT guy magic where because you were here, it worked the way it was supposed to. I think that's what happened.
It's scary that I'm going to start troubleshooting. Like, have you tried this? Have you tried that?
Yeah, it knew. It's like, I'm not going to fuck around with Natalie out here. Yeah.
I'm just going to work,
Yeah. Work as intended. So that means I'm going to have to hire you to shadow all my future podcasts too, just to make sure.
Sounds good. I'll just wait there with my keyboard, like, try this.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So something that I've started making a transition into that you've been in for a while, like you mentioned that you've always had an entrepreneurial kind of a spirit and mindset.
Yeah.
And it's something I've done a lot of philosophizing about, if I can take the liberty of using a made-up word. I think that's a made-up word.
I think so. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, contextually, I'm sure you know what I mean. But
yeah,
it's so interesting with the entrepreneurial mindset because it kind of falls in line almost with like a creator mindset, because most of the time, I think entrepreneurs work way harder for oftentimes way less money than if you just got a job working for someone. And I guess it's almost like some kind of window into the insanity of certain people of why would you do that to yourself?
Yeah.
But there are certain kinds of fulfillment that I think some people need that you can't get any other way. Would you agree with that?
No, absolutely. And I have a lot to say about that, to be honest.
I think it's so fascinating. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah. So the first thing is, it's not just about the payment, right? It's about how we are wired.
Yes.
You have to be naturally that, because I know a lot of people who are just amazing at what they do, right? But if you ask them to be entrepreneur or a business-like person, or just managing their own business, whatever, they just don't see that happening. They just don't want to do that. And if they did, they probably will earn a lot more, or maybe even like just naturally do so good at it, but that's not for them. They just don't want to do that. So you have to be, I feel like you have to be not necessarily born that way, but pretty much born that way. That should be like your thing. The money aspect, I feel like as an entrepreneur, like almost all the time, you're gonna make more. I could be mistaken, at least eventually, if you get really good at it and you find your niche or like your thing, But until you find it, and even once you find it, to get to that stage, it takes a lot of work and granted time, and maybe even some mistakes along the way that might have costed you a lot. But still, that journey itself, I think, is worth it at the end of the day. And like for me, for example, when I started building Infernozilla, it wasn't really. Did we even introduce ourselves in our background or anything like that? We just got into it, right?
No, don't worry about it.
Okay, but when I started building Infernozilla, before that and for a good while, like for a couple of years, I would have been way better off just getting a nice job and sticking with that and maybe growing through there, etc. And in fact, I don't know if I told you this, but I got to the last stage of an interview, like literally almost signing the paper. They're like, we're gonna send you an offer on Tuesday. I just want to know, are you gonna accept it or not? To that moment, and I went through like about 8 interviews, which was insane. But went into 8 interviews was 2K games actually,
Okay.
In a new studio that they were going to establish in Seattle or something like that. And I was
Mm.
super excited for it. And it was at that moment where my agency or my company, I call it agency, I guess that's what it is at that point of not necessarily growing, but there's a lot of future to it, but it could also tank.
Sure,
So I was
yeah.
like in that moment of, ooh, if I do certain things right, I'm about to scale. I got everything cracked down to the dot. Everything's working. But if it doesn't scale, this is it, basically, you know? I was at that moment where it was exciting, but at the same time scary. So during that time, I didn't even think for much. I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. This was great. This was awesome that I was able to do this and land this opportunity. But I want to continue where I'm going because at the end of the day, that's what I want. Even if the pay or anything like that was so attractive. So what I'm trying to say is, even if it pays less, that's just what we want to do, right? Like,
Exactly. Yeah. There's like this ineffable desire that like can only be fulfilled in that way.
yeah,
You know?
it's just a hunger that can't
Yes.
be satisfied unless we do our own thing. I
Right.
mean, since childhood, I had this Instagram account which I had forever now that I never use, and in my bio it always says, "Build your own dream, or else someone else
Yeah.
will hire you to build theirs," or something like that.
That's so true.
And that's always been the bio forever, and I don't even use that account, but that's something that I always believed in when I even did not understand what that exactly means. Um, so yeah, for me, it's just a no-brainer. Like, I want to do my own thing, and it's not a bad thing that people are, wanting to work for someone, etc. In fact, I have a lot of amazing people that are working with me right now, and
Yes.
there's also a
Yes,
lot
you
of
do.
great people who either are teachers, public servants, etc. And we need that, and it's awesome. But also we need people like me who want to create and structure those things as well. So yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, I love. I don't know. I love seeing when people kind of face that crossroads and they just say, "Fuck it, I'm going to bet on myself," and
yeah,
then it works. Like, and then you made it. It's just,
yeah.
I don't know. I get off on those kind of stories. It's
It
amazing.
happened multiple times. Even while I was when I had Infernozilla, and before it was even Infernozilla, like I think when I met you, it's already rebranded or in
I
the
think you
process.
were Infernozilla when
Okay,
we first started talking. Yeah, it must have been just switched over.
I think I just switched over because before that, actually no, we started working together in earlier this year or last year. I don't
think
even
it
know at this
was.
point.
I don't know either. I think it was at the end of last year. I think it's been about
Okay.
a year, like this month or next
Yeah.
month. I think that makes it a year.
Yeah. So
like
then
that.
it's about that transition. But before then, we were even operating like just under my name, all that kind of stuff. We didn't have a company structure or name or anything like that. We were very, I mean, until even recently, we didn't have a website, right? But when I had like 2 or 3 people, I think it was like John and Joshua, and then
Yeah.
we had one person called her name was Denise. She's no longer with us, but there were 3 of them, and then there was me. At that time, we were not even earning enough as a company. After paying them, I had to still go in. I was like doing newspapers at night, valets at night.
Amazing.
So I was doing those kind of stuff, but we're still, like on the daytime, I was running a company with like people and actually paying salaries. So
Yeah.
granted, some of them were still part time, but that's basically how I grew things slowly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so again, it's not just about the pay. It's just that is what we want to do.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
torture yourself and work really, really hard for, but then, and it's hard because I think to be a successful entrepreneur, you do have to work so hard.
Yeah.
But I don't think that everyone that works really hard makes it.
No.
And I don't know if it's that if it's luck or they didn't have the right opportunity, or if they just put their efforts into the wrong direction, or
Yeah.
what it is. But I don't know if you've seen people like that just work so hard and just never quite get their break,
Yeah.
and maybe they just didn't get it yet. Maybe they will. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I think it's a factor of multiple things, right? One
Yeah.
is consistency. I try. A lot of people that know me say, "Hey, Nat doesn't waste any time. Like he gets all his time funneled into this one thing, right?" And I do that, but I also waste a lot of time, like anybody else, but I think it's the consistency part as well. Consistently doing it.
Sure.
And a
Yeah.
lot of people give up a little bit too soon, but not
Yeah.
really soon. Like even after a long time, if you give up, you just give up. You just lost the whole effort.
Right.
Um, there's the luck aspect too. Like I feel like I've been lucky. Like I was saying earlier, when I came to this country, meeting people to help me stay with them. Being able to remain keep my cost low every single month. Because a lot of the time I see people wants to start a business, but they have either family members to take care of. They have a lot of, like, every single month, lots of cost overhead, just living expenses. But I was able to keep my costs super low, because of people helping out and allowing me to stay with them, and all that good stuff, right? So I was able to take risks like no other. Like I had no cost, as long as I feed myself, that's it. So I'm able to
Yeah.
make decisions that do not jeopardize my livelihood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to take the risk and take the gamble because you weren't
Yeah,
gambling with anyone else's with their
exactly.
quality of life. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I was also mentioning earlier, I didn't have a plan B. Like, this has to work. Like, this
Yeah.
definitely has to work. I don't know how, but um, uh, I just have to make it somehow.
Hmm.
And that also helps, right? Like when you don't have, it's like a fight or flight moment, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you're scared of something and you have to make it work, nothing else matters, like you're gonna make it work out, and you're not gonna get distracted. You're gonna keep doing that. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, and honestly, also some of the people that joined us on the team, um, just changed everything. Like, as soon as, for example, Katie joined us, things
Yeah.
turned around. We've been
And
really
Katie's
lucky.
awesome. We've
Yeah,
talked about her before. She's a great ad. Yeah.
yeah, no, absolutely. And then before that, we also had Joshua, who's been tremendous help,
Yeah.
and he's been growing a lot with us as well, just as a person and in general, like in his profession. And
Hmm.
then recently, not too long ago, about 6 months now, I believe, it's already been 6 months, crazy. Tanya joined us, and we have other
Yeah.
amazing team members as well. So it's been luck in that sense as well, because you could be unlucky and have a team member that just like wastes time, because when you're starting out, time is against you and you need to move fast, and as an entrepreneur, like, you might not have those time because you have to build this thing, or else if it fails, it's your whole life effort basically.
Yeah.
um, but having those people and being lucky with them also propel things and helped a lot. So I feel, going back to the question, it's a combination of multiple things, from the luck, from the consistency aspect. And one thing I forgot to touch on is education, but
Mm.
not necessarily in a sense of like traditional education or anything like that, even though I went through
Sure.
that. I actually don't think that's the main thing. It's mainly, like, for me, when I'm driving, this is bad. I put it on camera. When I'm driving, when I'm eating, when I'm like doing anything, I and I'm not talking like 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I'm talking like every single day, like a habit. Like when people are watching a movie and stuff like that, what I watch is just YouTube videos,
Yeah.
podcasts, people talking about business, basically like living and breathing what I want to do and where I want to be at, right? It's not about the visualizing part. I've never understood that part and never do that much of visualizing, but it's more about the learning different things and structures and things that people do. My agency is a combination of so many other agencies, right? And the reason I learned that is other people. Some of them that I invested into, like education-wise, courses, all that. But others just simply consuming information online and learning everything I can find. I think that was a huge aspect as well. I didn't know I had an agency for like 2 years of doing it until I learned that it's called an agency.
Yeah.
So it was like, what? I guess I do have an agency. So
it's got this professional ring to it, that word, right? It carries a weight.
Yeah, but it's not just a name though. I actually understood how to structure it and what I need to be doing, what I should be researching to learn on, because I was doing things that an agency does without understanding what an agency does. And not just that, like I was also I didn't know if I'm undercharging, overcharging,
Sure.
if I am recruiting properly or not recruiting properly. Like all that came about once I understood what I have on my hand, because I didn't know what it was. It was just a team of people doing random stuff. Yeah.
Well, you definitely have the ability. I don't mean this in a disparaging way, but I guess just based on the history that you just told me, you're definitely good at faking it until you make it. Because I remember when we had our very first consultation, you had reached out to eGames, and Bob had forwarded me the email you sent him. It was like, hey, set up a meeting with this guy. Maybe they can do some stuff for us. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And it sounds like this was, according to your history, when you very first started kind of coming together and maybe getting a little bit more organized. But I still remember that consultation, like, man, this guy really has his shit together. Like all these systems and processes. I mean, that is going to just change. That's going to be such a game changer for us.
Yeah.
So I guess, and I only call it faking it till you make it, just because that's kind of the colloquialism. But obviously, you had the passion and the interest in what you were doing, and I think that carries so much when you're kind of in your earlier stage of being an entrepreneur, when you've just immersed yourself in the subject so much. And you mentioned by that time you had done basically that job for free for other games for years, just because.
So when you guys joined us, actually, we already grown to understand what we were doing, like what our offers are, our team structure, etc. We kind of switched a little bit since we met as well. You already seen that, like we structured a lot and we grew a lot since then. But right around your time, like you joining us, is when we actually nailed it down nicely. So you are joining us in a time that we already kind of figured out things. But before you guys, actually, one of our bigger clients was Kovac guys. Mind you, we've been active already for 4.5 years. Okay, so when I say 2 years, that was like 2 years before you guys. Actually, 3 years before you guys. So it's a little bit. The timeline is a little bit. So like Kovac guys, for example, they really showed us and learned a lot after we signed them. And not only because of Kovac, but other projects that we've been working with together as well. But they're the ones who actually experienced a lot of change. Like from the time we started working together till today, it's very different on how we are structured and what we're doing things. And also Skiff and Tarkov guys. Initially, I was volunteering with them before only like 3 months, and then started working with them since November 2016. And then from 2016 all the way to a year and a half or so, I didn't work with anybody else. But then This Land Is My Land came in, and then Black Mesa guys came in, and then slowly Kovac guys. So through that time, we structured things a lot. And by the time we engaged with you guys, we already had figured out most of it. So definitely was getting structured. But this year has been solid, if that makes sense. Like we really nailed down our structure.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I kind of feel that way too with eGames in a lot of ways. As I'm sure you know, we just did our 20th public update, the Viki update on Friday morning. And that was it's funny because we we've known that was the update series number, but it didn't occur to any of us until Friday morning. We're like, holy shit, this is 020. We've done 20 of these things. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And it's funny, we have a developer by the name of Alex that we just started with
Second
earlier
Alex.
this year. Yeah, second Alex. So we call the first Alex that helps us with marketing, we call him Chow. Childhood nickname. Chow. Yeah, it's so funny. It has to do with a haircut he had when he was a kid. It's like, yeah. But at any rate,
so that haircut.
Well, and I've never even seen it. It's hard for me to picture it because he has like a shaved head now. You know, he's kind of going for like the Vin Diesel vibe a little bit, I guess.
Okay.
But at any rate, so I was talking to new Alex or Alex, developer Alex, this afternoon, and I was like, because he's been in this 020X update series with us since he started. So he just went through his first. It's like, hey man, how was release week? And he's like, oh, that was really fun. I'm like, man, you should have been here for release week 2 years ago. It was chaos, like pure chaos, insanity. Just having to redeploy like 5 times to Steam because we're like, oh man, we missed this. Oh crap, we need to do these hot fixes. And it would be like a thing. All right, we're going to put it out on Monday. Then it wouldn't actually make it out till Thursday. Then we'd be doing hot fixes Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to try
because
to like
you forgot something or you broke something.
God. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And now it's so smooth now. It's nice. Yeah.
Even since I joined you guys, I feel the team became I don't know. It could also be just me getting used to working with you guys, but things started becoming a lot more smooth, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, things are just like easy flow. Even communication with my team and your team is like, oh, that, like, it's just like a couple of exchanges and then it's like, oh, done. You know, it didn't require that much of like back and forth or anything like that. It's like, like that. It's crazy.
Yeah,
in a good way.
You know, honestly, when it started getting really smooth, and I imagine just because she had more time to spend with us, but I think that when you brought Katie on, that really was like when I noticed like a huge change of like, oh man, like it feels like kind of effortless now. You know, I think just because she has so much time to spend on us, you know, not that I know she has other clients as well, other game clients as we've talked about before, but it's and it's nice because you guys kind of merged over to our way of like, hey, it's probably going to be today, but maybe not. We'll let you know, put it out. And like, it's just no questions asked now. It's like, oh, okay, is it ready? All right, good. We're all ready to go. Yeah. Pull the trigger. And then we have, of course, our internal person, Brittany, who has melded so well with you guys. Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah, I love her writing too.
She's good.
It's spot on.
It is, and you know, she has a degree. She actually has a degree in writing. So she's like a real writer. You know. Yeah.
I remember you mentioning a little bit about something about books or something like that. That she works on or something.
I don't think she wants me to talk about that. But yeah, she does. I believe she's written some novels of a certain kind. I have not read any of them, but I have heard of them.
Sounds like okay.
It let's just say it made her well suited to working for us. So,
that's what I thought as well.
Exactly. Her professional communication spot on though too.
No, she's also very amazing to work with. I know my team loves working with her. It was perfect. In fact, sometimes my team will be like, "Hey, we're already working with Katie. Brittany on that." And then I'll be like, "Oh, really? Okay, cool." You don't even see that happening, but they're already working together from the back. And I'm like, "Okay, awesome. You guys are working well together." But to your point earlier, though, before I brought on Katie, we're at that moment of, hey, you know, we have the revenue to bring Katie. But it's risky because if we lose one client, you know, what do I like? Do I have to let go of somebody? You know, so we're at that point, and then as soon as we brought you guys on, it solidified the confidence of, okay, our revenue is looking good, everybody's getting paid, and we have some buffer, you know, just in case. So now let's bring on Katie, and she also took a little bit while to come on because she was working with a big company, actually it's a company located in her area in UK. It's a video game publishing firm. I don't know if I'm allowed to say it. I don't know. I think that's fine, right? Like,
you didn't say a business name.
So. So She used to work there, and from there we basically talked, and she felt like she would fit really well into what we're doing, and she felt like it was an upgrade into her role as well. She was definitely experienced, but not to the point where she's like, the most experienced, like senior or something.
Right.
But I just saw that she would just fit so well on our team, like her energy, her motivation into the industry, like indie space, and just in general, like the commitment that I saw from her was like, okay, this is exactly what we need. And to be honest, like she surpassed every single expectation from there. But yeah, so we took about 4 weeks or 5 weeks to bring her on because she had to give a notice over there.
Sure.
So that's the delay time that you saw. And what was created was we were so busy that we needed that person, but we couldn't bring her on fast enough.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit of a month of like hiccups. But as soon as she came on, like you were saying, she just, yeah.
Well, and it's funny because we talked about before too, when you're scaling a small business, how you have to go through that that kind of painful period where you have to take on more work than you can actually do to get enough revenue to scale your team to where you can actually be comfortable with the amount of work you have. But you have to go through that phase of like, oh, this is like 20%, 30% more work than we actually can technically do, but we're just going to make it happen. We're going to make it work to cross that corner, cross the hump, and then go to the next level. But it's just, it's part of it. It's part of scaling.
Yeah. One thing I can say to that is if Tanya ever watches this video, she probably will say, "Hey, Nat, don't ever do that again," is what she said when I did it. When she came on, like, I don't want to tell the whole story because it's going to be so long and all that. But basically, it was super stressful moment when she just joined us. She was just like, "Here you go. Like, we got all this stuff." And it was very overwhelming. And I am so happy that she's able to power through that. And if she can power through that, she can basically handle anything else, really. So, there were those moments. Luckily, right now, our structure is actually looking really good. So we got out of that moment of stress, moment where whenever we add a client, like one client meant that family members will not hear from me for like a whole week. Like they won't even see me for a whole week because it just added so much stress that just one client, and I'm talking 1 month, not even like every week or something, just one client in a month added so much stress that you don't even get to hear from me for a whole week as a family member or a friend because the structure was just not there. But right now, if we take on even like 3-4, we would have very smooth integration, whereas anything more than that starts bringing in stress, which is what we're doing right now, like only 2 to 3 a month.
Yeah. So do you have a ceiling on how many clients you want to work with? Or because I know we talked about kind of your structure where you've basically created these teams of like 3 to 4 people, and each team can handle, what is it, like 3 to 5 game clients essentially. So what could you theoretically have an infinite amount of those teams, or is there like kind of in your head like a ceiling on the capacity that I guess that you can handle because you're touching all of it?
Yeah. So, well, here's the thing: our early clients get a little bit of extra benefit of, if it is a benefit, of me kind of touching and being involved.
Sure.
But most of our newer clients, exactly. So most of our newer clients, I don't go on the meetings. I maybe talk to them once every 2 months, maybe. So a lot of them are fully handled by our team members, or should I say team leads, and then the team members under there. But our early clients, even especially like if you go a little bit earlier than you guys, I get involved on everything. There's still clients that I approve social media posts before they even go out. I don't have to do that, but I do it because when they signed up, that's what they had. and I don't want that to change as much as possible. Even though I'm slowly, letting go. It's also a little bit of attachment from my side.
Yeah, of
I've been
course.
doing it, so and that's what got us to here, which is like undoubtedly taking care of our clients and making sure that whatever they want is done. Like if they want something, they're gonna get it, right? Even if it
Yeah.
is outside of our realm. And that's what I want to keep doing, which is clients first, clients first, clients first. Of course, there are some clients that might not be ideal for that, and we adjust our attitude based on it. But
Sure.
most of our clients are very fair, and the things that they ask for, we try to really deliver, and that's why I get involved on most of them. But growing wise, and most of our newer clients, especially right around after you guys, I would say, who did we sign after you guys? I don't remember exactly who it was after you guys, but I think you guys were like almost the last stop because Katie joined, and after that, I started letting go to team leads that I get
Yeah.
involvements on, and actually like chat in there and be involved, all that kind of stuff. So they still, get the attention that they need from our team leads, etc. But it's very different onto my involvement. So yeah, going back to the question, when it comes to Sealing, right now our structure supports up to 30 games, and we're only half that right now.
Okay.
When I say structure, we would need to add more people, but our
Sure.
structure will not break up until 30 projects. We just need to add maybe like 4 more team members to get to be able to service 30. Because recently, I don't know if you know, but we actually promoted Joshua to team lead.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
so
great.
he's
Well,
one
if
of
you're
our
watching this, congratulations, Joshua. Well
yeah.
deserved, I'm sure. Yeah.
And this is so weird that I'm telling you over a podcast that's gonna be recorded, but we're also gonna tell you soon that Katie has been promoted as well,
That's
and so
awesome.
is Mark. So Mark is becoming
Nice.
a team lead, and then Katie's actually becoming our head of operations. So
Wait, it sounds like you're promoting the entire team that handles Eat Games. So are we going to lose them, or do we still get them?
no, you get to still work with Mark and Katie, but Joshua would
Okay.
be mainly focusing on other projects. But
Sure.
he's the only person who won't be much involved on games. But he was always been like a floater, anyways.
Sure. Yeah,
But
definitely.
Mark will still be there. He's just going to be the team lead now, and then Katie. Has actually been training him for the past 1 month before we announced it to anybody. He's been promoted for almost a month now, but she's been training him, and he's been the one who's doing things from the background, even though Katie has been the front person.
Nice.
So Katie becomes our person to handle our team leads, making sure that quality of delivery is on point. So she basically does what I was doing
Yeah.
a lot in the background that some of our clients don't see, that I was like checking on and making sure that things are good and managing the team needs, etc. But now that we have 3 departments of 3 team leads, we needed someone to kind of oversee them and help out, and also go in and assist if anything is needed. And as we grew, like my attention starts like spreading too much, and I saw that I was not able to give attention as much as I wanted to, let's say, to Eek, right? And I needed somebody to still be giving that attention, because I want to make sure that as we grow, our quality is not dropping, which funny enough has been actually increasing instead of dropping. At least that's what I believe it has been
I would
happening.
agree. I would
Yeah.
agree. I mean, it's always been great quality, but like, yeah, you guys are just always getting more polished, and I never know if it's you guys or us just getting more used to working with each other. But
Yeah,
I've
I think it's a little bit of both for sure.
Sure.
And you guys really make our job way easier, because one, you communicate effectively and you're very reasonable all the time, and just I think we just work so well together.
Yeah.
So I feel that's just naturally working, and like not just saying this to you, but you guys are one of our favorite people to work with. So like it's just perfect with you guys. But in general, the last like company and also our service has been improving because things that we were chipping out on or things that we didn't have the time on, right now we're able to recruit on. Like for example, graphic design was like horrible for us in the past. We're able to do a nice upgrade with that. It was Ken joining the team.
Shout out to Ken. Ken's awesome.
Yeah,
Love
absolutely.
it. Yep.
Ken was just perfect. But yeah, so things like that has been improving as we grow, and that's what I want to continue to maintain, right? Like, so KD is a strategic move where as we grow into those 30 games, because my plan for end of next year is getting to that 30 game, basically double what we have right now in 1 year, that is, which is, we can get there in 4 to 5 months, but we're just accounting for, things that will come up.
Sure.
And also just in general, like we don't want to grow too fast. It's always been how we've been growing, which is 1 game here, 2 games there, 3 games here. That's it. Like we don't even take on more than that. In fact, we've been avoiding taking on, if we have 2 games that want to work with us, we don't even take them on in the same week. We like to take them on every other week or something like that.
Yeah,
even if
smart.
they're going different department.
Especially that first month, that first onboarding is so important.
Yeah,
you really want to nail that and make them feel like they're getting all your attention. And
exactly. But one thing I can guarantee you is we'll never be in a position where I would say, hey guys, like, sorry, we're too busy because we have other clients that we're servicing and we cannot get to you, or like, hey, we'll get to you in 24 hours, 48 hours. No, that's not going to happen. Like our structure will always be, hey, we're going to be part of your team and an extension of your team, and we're going to give you the full attention. Once you sign up with us, that never changes. That's just basically how we are and how we will work. We'll stop growing before that happens. If we grow into the point where we're not able to do that, we have a problem that we need to fix first before continuing to grow.
Right.
So yeah. But yeah.
So I'd love to talk a little bit about kind of like your ethics and philosophy and kind of just higher business networking, I guess, because at this point, and I think this is something we both have in common with the positions and the stuff we do now, but if you had to boil down what we do into its most simple thing, like what do you do for a living? What do I do for a living? We talk to people, I would say. Would you agree with that?
So wait, the last part of the question?
Essentially, like to boil it down to its most simple terms, you and I talk to people for a living.
Yeah. Oh, like, yeah, no, absolutely.
That's in its most simple terms, that's what it is. So
yeah.
And it's so interesting. There's so much nuance to that because I think about it a lot because so many of the opportunities that I've had in life with Eat Games, and then as you know, I've started my own little entrepreneurial venture as well, which is going well. But those have all been a result of relationship building, networking, and I guess what I've been thinking about lately is kind of like the fine line and the ethics of, I call it the commoditization of relationships. And it's basically where, because I'm sure we both have people in our lives, I know I certainly do, that are not really in my professional sphere, but they're people that I know, and I generally only hear from them when they need something from me. And that really bothers me. But then we spend most of our lives working, and like we're talking to people constantly, and usually it is like, I need something from you, you need something from me, you're waiting on something from me, and it isn't annoying. It doesn't get in the way of still enjoying like the social aspects of the connections. So I guess I don't even know. I don't really have a question there. It's just kind of something I've been pondering lately, like what it all means,
Yeah. I think that has to do with how that relationship was built to begin with, right?
Definitely.
Like, so if that relationship was built based on just then business, like there was no business transaction, or it doesn't even have to be transaction. Like there's no business interest to it. It was just purely, hey, like friend, family member, etc. Right? Then when that business aspect or the need only comes with it, it's like, what just changed, right? Like why are you only looking for me, for like why are you reaching me only when you need these things, and that's it. That means there's no, the aspects of the initial formation of that relationship is no longer there, if that makes sense. Like there's
Yeah.
no more like the friendship or the family aspect that's connecting you, but it's just, hey, I need something, so I reached out to you. Once I get that thing, you're probably not going to hear from me. um, it could be that, and then the other thing is just not having the skills to maintain it. And I'll be honest, I'm also sometimes I am like that. um, I get very busy that I, even though I'm thinking of people that are important to me, I don't get to reach out to them, like
Yeah.
maintain that relationship. And I feel like it shouldn't be, but I feel like it's one of those sacrifices and the cost of being an entrepreneur, especially when you're in the early stage.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
like my family are still in Ethiopia, and I get to talk to them, but not as often as they would like or how I would like. Uh, and I tell them, hey guys, like when I call you, I literally talk to you for 2 hours, and if I do that every single week, that becomes like 2 hours per week gone, and it's just a huge tax, basically.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's funny you mentioned, especially as an entrepreneur, because I was talking to a colleague recently, um, about an interaction I had with someone, and he said that uh, the entrepreneur lifestyle is oftentimes a lonely one.
hmm
And I think as an entrepreneur, you oftentimes you actually get you have to derive a lot of your like social fulfillment from people that you actually do work with, because you're always working. So
yeah,
then some of the most meaningful connections you have in your life are actually in your work sphere,
yeah,
and the lines almost get blurred a little bit, not like in an inappropriate way, but it's
yeah,
where it's like, oh, I haven't called my grandmother in 3 months, but
yeah,
but I know like my colleague just had his anniversary with his wife last night. I know where they went for dinner and all that, because it's just, I guess it's the frequency of communication. I guess that's what it
yeah,
is. But
yeah,
yeah, I know for me right now, like I'm the busiest I've ever been right now. And I'm someone that prizes like friendships and relationships. That's what my life is about. But like
yeah,
right now outside of work, I have like a slot of like 5 people that I actually communicate with on a regular basis, and then I have like
yeah.
one floating position. I call
Now you just switch depending on the time.
yeah,
uh,
exactly. And then it's not, and I feel bad because I moved to Maine last year, back up to Maine, which is where I'm from Florida, and I've lost touch so much with so many people that were a big part of my life in Florida. But a lot of it is just it's just limited bandwidth to put
yeah,
into tending to those connections. And it's like when I see them, like I was just down in Florida and I got to visit with some friends, and it's amazing. And it's like, hey, like if we're together in the room, like you've got me, you know what I mean? But
exactly.
it's almost like as soon as that event is over, like I'm back in my little sphere of
Yeah,
like work, and then the 4 or 5 people that I talk to, and that's it.
yeah.
Yeah. I don't
No,
know if you relate, but
that's exactly the case with me, and I genuinely really think that is the sacrifice it takes for us
yeah,
to build something, and that's one of the reasons that I feel a lot of people are not able to be okay with that, so they don't want to do that. But that's what it takes. Like you really have to live, eat, and breathe this and nothing else. And
hmm
it's not just about time. Like it's about focus also. Like when I'm focused, I don't do anything else. Like today, it's not normal for me because I'm not a morning person. But I've been up since 4 a.m. and I've been
oh
at it
wow,
since 5.
yeah,
And right now it's what it's 5:30 p.m. So yeah, like I just been like focused, going. I don't even feel tired, but that's because I'm so focused on what I'm doing that I'm okay with it. But I have people that I'm supposed to be calling and following up on, like family members that I should be talking to about Thanksgiving and everything, that reached out to me, left me a message that I still need to catch up to.
yeah,
Um, but that's the kind of, I don't want to call it like like I'm sacrificing them for this, but it's just a little bit of the challenge of this life.
Yeah, it is. It's the
Yeah,
hard thing, and it takes, like, if you want to have a relationship with someone that is in
yeah,
that, like, you have to have a lot of understanding and patience, and know
yeah,
that, like, even when the communication's not there, the care is still there. I feel like
yeah.
always,
There is absolutely.
and it's not even that you're not thinking about them, but it's
Yeah.
just, you know, it is what it is, I guess. So
I promise you, like, if one of them would call me and say, "Hey, this happened, and I need your help," I'm gonna just drop everything and be
of
there
course,
and do everything necessary to help. But as long as they're okay, though, I'm like, yeah, I am very busy. I need
yeah,
to, I need to be focused on this. But not everyone understands. I've lost a lot of friends because of it, and
yeah,
um, yeah, but not everyone understands. But I feel like those who understand are the ones who actually are kind of a good fit for me, because
yes,
I'm not about to change for that. This is just who I am, and uh, I do have to do what I have to do. There, it's not perfect. I am still learning and improving. You know, socially, career-wise, professionally, whatever. But yeah, this is what it takes from what I know. So
yeah. It's the creator mindset. That's
yeah,
that's really what it is. And so we talked a lot about the passion and what we put into our work and projects and stuff. But I'm
yeah,
curious, is there something you do for yourself that's like part of your daily life, that's kind of like a self-care thing that has nothing to do with Infernozilla?
yeah,
And that could be open-ended as exercise or reading or meditate, like anything. I'm just curious.
yeah. So recently, not as much as I should, and that's one thing I'm actually making as a goal of working on. I've not been doing much of self care, so to speak.
Hmm.
I've been really letting go, and when I say letting go, like really letting go towards like just building this, because I have a huge goal for this, and I really want to get it somewhere. And it's no longer like, oh, Natalino taking care of himself or his family. Now it's starting to become, hey, I have a team to look out for. I
Yeah.
have to make sure that they are. Paid on time. I have to make sure that our clients are taken care of, right? So those responsibilities that, oh, just me, family that I need to take care of, siblings, parents, and all that. It's not just that now. Now it's like I have responsibility of what now? We're at 16 people, I believe, 16
Yeah.
people and their families. Um, so I'm like to that point where I'm now balancing work life stuff, and
Hmm.
that's very quick to be hanged up on, and that's one thing that I definitely have weakness on that I'm working on. But I would say, hey, as much as bad it is, I like to just sleep when
Yeah.
I'm free because that's basically
That's
my self
amazing.
care. Like I on the
Yeah.
weekends, you might not see me awake for like 12, 15 hours. Some of the people that know
Yeah.
me say Natalino doesn't sleep; he hibernates. Um, so, uh, or I knew
That's
somebody
amazing.
who a very close friend of mine who helped me, stay with them, etc. When I was here, who passed away last year in December. Who always used to say, "You sleep like a bear. Like you just don't wake up. You just like disappear." And it has to do with the snoring too, but we're not talking about that. But yeah, so for me, I guess I like to sleep when I'm free and kind of just re-energize. And outside of that, I have a German Shepherd dog. He's also someone who keeps me busy, and uh, I like to watch video games because I don't get to play them anymore as much as I used to.
Yeah.
So I watch videos of video games, so that kind of stuff. Nothing really fun and exciting, though. Sometimes I've been doing a lot of paintball,
Oh, that's fun.
airsoft.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I've been getting to, like, I'm in Texas, so I've been getting to range
Yeah.
shooting and all that kind
Sure.
of
Yeah.
stuff too. So I do enjoy those, but not as much as I should be doing. I need some sunlight.
Yeah. It's one of those things that it can be really easy to stop, to kind of forget about, but
Yeah,
I think so one of the most simple joys of life that's so good for you is just being outside,
Yeah.
I know like a little over a year ago, I was going through kind of like a very emotional, I had like an emotional personal situation
Okay.
that was very transformative, and it led to me working actually like with this like YouTube famous life coach for 6 months, and
Oh
kind
wow.
of turning a bunch of things around in my life, making a bunch of big decisions. And
In
one
a good
huge,
way or bad way?
in a good way,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it was very transformative, yeah, in a very good way. But a big thing I started doing was just, it might sound funny, but just going on walks every day.
Yeah.
um,
No,
and
that's
it's something now that like I'm very unapologetic about, especially where it's starting to get late in the year in Maine. The sun is setting at 3:30 in the afternoon now.
oh really? Wow.
So it's very easy to not literally not see the sun for months if you're not careful, because you'll be, inside working all day. So like
Same here.
literally, I sent the guys a message today. I'm like, hey, it's 3 o'clock. I got half an hour light. I'm going on a walk. I'll be back later.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel bad about it, and I don't apologize for it, because I know I have to do that to be okay.
Yeah.
And that if I'm not taking care of myself, then I'm not going to have as much to contribute
Yeah.
to Eat Games, or to Gaming Gorilla, my talent agency, or anything like that. But
Yeah.
something I started doing more recently, like I think 5 or 6 months ago now, is I started training jujitsu.
Oh
I,
yeah. You told me
yeah,
that.
yeah, I have a great jujitsu gym very close to the house, and I do that anywhere from like 2 to 4 times a week. But to make time for it, most of those times are at like 5 in the morning, like early as fuck.
Yeah.
And I've got two guys that I'm friends with there, and all of us are trying to squeeze it in before work. So we'll
Yeah.
meet there and we'll roll for 1 or 2 hours, and then go to work after that. And it,
That is
I
super
thought
cool.
I thought I would be used to like, you kind of get in the routine of like waking up at 4:30 in the morning to go to do that. No, it sucks
No.
every time. I'm like,
Yeah.
God damn it. Like, why am I doing this? Like, I'm waking up, it's still dark out, I'm tired. Now I'm gonna go like fight for my life and get drenched in sweat. And I come home and I'm covered with the sweat of multiple people and myself. And
You don't know who's who.
yeah, seriously, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I know always how I feel before I'm there versus when I leave. Like, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
There's something about like a combat sport too. I'm sure it applies to like karate and other stuff as well. But it,
I've done taekwondo for 5 years.
oh really?
I'm actually a red belt. I
Oh
stopped
wow.
doing it right before I got my black belt, so I know definitely what you're
Okay.
saying. Like it is super satisfying, and it's not about like the fighting or stuff. It's more about like the discipline, the things that you learn, and also the exercise. And
Yes. Yeah.
um,
It checks so many
it's
boxes.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And the
and
health aspect too. I really got better. I used to have a very severe allergy of like kind of sinus. If you know what sinus is.
yeah, yeah.
So I used to
Sinusitis.
get
Yeah.
sick all the time. Like I used to like bleed, like nose bleeding and everything. And I had to get injections every 6 months and all
Oh
that.
wow.
Started doing taekwondo and it completely disappeared. And I did that
No
for
way.
5 years or so. You see a bunch of medals behind, like over there.
Oh
I
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, so I have like 6 or 7 of them, and a lot of them are from like different sports. I don't know if you know, but I'm like 6'6" tall. Um,
I did not know that, because you're always
yeah,
sitting when I see you.
yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
this desk is like elevated, like all the way
Okay.
high. Anyone
Yeah.
else who sit on my chair, their feet usually like hangs on the so I used to do a lot of sports, so I do understand what it does to you. And yeah, I need to get back into it. I need to get back into it.
It's good, and it's interesting too, because I've experimented with a lot of different exercise in my life, and there's something about actually the combat aspect of where, especially I'm not too familiar with Taekwondo. I don't know like to what level you're actually really fighting each other, like really
Yeah,
just going for it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with jujitsu. It's very like you're all
yeah,
out,
yeah,
because it's not a striking sport, so you
yeah,
can you can go all out, until the other person taps. And there's just a weird psychological release where you're just actually a few times a week getting the opportunity to like try to choke someone out or break their elbow or whatever it is. And obviously you're not really trying to do that, but like
Yeah,
where you kind of can let that animal energy have an outlet,
yeah,
and it's so interesting because jujitsu is such the community is huge. And like when you're all
yeah,
the people in the gym, they're training partners because you're learning together. Even when you're bowling together, you're learning together, you're trying out techniques on each other. And sometimes so it's not very competitive, even though you're like trying to kill each other. Basically, it's like as
yeah.
soon as it's done, it's like, dude, that was amazing how you just like got my back and like almost made me pass out. That was awesome. Could you show me how you
Yeah.
did that?
It's a
But
discipline.
yeah, I get, but you still get the satisfaction though, like that primal satisfaction of like
Yeah,
struggling with all your might against another human.
yeah.
It's so interesting.
No, absolutely. I can see that. Even though Taekwondo is definitely a different sport, you don't get to do much of that as much because it is a striking
Sure.
sport. Like you don't really. In fact, as soon as you hold each other, they kind of tell you to stop. Like there's no holding each other. You're basically
No
striking.
grappling. Yeah.
Yeah, no grappling at all.
Yeah.
And depending on what kind of competition it is, if it is competition, there's like a area that you cannot attack each other. Usually, it's below the waist. Like everything is like top body.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah.
But some of them, like the professional ones, especially, is like anywhere.
Yeah.
um, there might be like fouls that you cannot like hit on like certain spots that could like kill somebody. But uh, yeah, it's all full out. But Taekwondo was mainly uh, discipline, exercise, and a lot of like technique work and
Yes.
also patterns. I don't know if you guys have patterns. They're basically like routines that you do. Have you seen like karates and stuff? They're like doing random stuff all the way
Yeah.
together. Like
They're
it looks
called
like a dance.
katas, right? A kata, is that what it is?
We call it patterns.
Okay, pattern. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
it's almost like a simulated fight, right? Like where it's almost like you do like a series of movements,
yes,
almost
exactly.
simulating as if there's like multiple people around you, kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah,
Yeah, so you're doing like bunch of movements, and
yeah.
what it is doing is every movement that you're doing, one is like teaching you the techniques of how you're doing them because it's like your positioning and your leg positioning gives you like strengths of your upper body and like all
Hmm.
that, and then also you're doing your breathing at the same time. You're just moving around. Also, the discipline of following those directions, like of everybody doing the same thing, it's just a combination, and honestly it is an art. It's different from jiu-jitsu, but
It's
yeah.
still a combat sport though, so I'm sure you get a
Yeah,
lot of that same
yeah,
fulfillment.
I
Yeah.
would say so. Like any other sport, to be honest, like any sport that I've done. I used to play handball for my city. I
Hmm.
competed in regional, national, etc. at the time.
Oh wow.
uh, and some of the medals, like some of them are regional, some of them are school, never won the national or anything like that. But uh, when we did those, like every exercise felt like just reborn, like a new person, like
Hmm.
excited for the next day. If you're like feeling down or something and you go do some of those and then you come back home, it's like a whole new energy again. I don't know, like you're supposed to be tired, but you're still energetic. So
Yeah.
I need to be doing
Absolutely.
some of those again. Now you're just making me, plan out which sports I'm gonna be starting to do again.
Well, it's just, I mean, obviously, like whatever you're doing for your life is working. Like you always seem happy and you're having success, but it's just,
Yeah,
I always just get curious on what people do to take care of themselves
yeah,
because it's just, it's, I feel like especially in the modern day, especially when you work from home,
yeah,
because the lines between working and not working, whether you're an entrepreneur or not, basically disappear.
yeah,
You're always on call, and it's
yeah,
so I don't know. I'm trying to like for myself, and I guess for people that are in my sphere to help kind of just normalize. It's going to sound like really funny and very millennial of me, but
yeah,
normalize like taking care of yourself and recognizing that by doing that, you're actually going to have more to bring to the table in your
yeah,
professional sphere as well. You
yeah.
know?
To that point, I've noticed a direct correlation between how I'm feeling and how the business is doing.
Yeah, I'm not
Initially,
surprised.
no questions asked, but even now, when we have all those people working on things, and even if things are performing, of course, the individual team members' performance is going to make an impact as well. But as a company as a whole, like major change, I'm talking like things that could grow us or hinder us, like pretty much when it comes to like significant switches. It's not just one client or two clients affected. I'm talking like everyone is affected.
Yeah.
My performance and where I'm at, like if I'm feeling down, if I'm feeling not energetic, last week was that I was feeling really down. But yeah, so my performance really dictates on where the business is going. As soon as I get excited, as soon as I'm full of energy, we're like booming. And then as soon as
Yeah.
I'm down, things are going down too.
Yeah. Well, that energy, I guess, like the energy of like happiness and fulfillment, it is infectious, and
Yeah.
it does kind of rain down because I mean you're at the top, so you
Yeah.
set the tone for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so important.
Yeah. Not only that, like I feel like I'm the captain of the ship, and if the ship doesn't have the captain, like to make the right decisions and steer to the right direction, then it just gets going and lost, you know.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
so yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Actually,
no.
what? Oh, sorry. I had a couple
Yeah,
notes
go
as
for
we
it.
look at their particular stuff, but let's see. Okay. It sounded like you had something you wanted to say though before I was
No, I was
rudely
just
looking at my
gonna
notes.
reiterate on saying, but yeah, like I feel taking care of yourself will have direct ROI, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I need to do
completely.
better at that. I'm definitely not perfect, and I've been learning a lot onto uh, money things, including what you're saying, you know, when it comes to taking care of yourself and just finding stuff outside of work. Because when you're working remotely, especially, and when you're also working with international staff and international
Yes.
clients, your phone never shuts off. Like
Yeah, that's so
it's
true.
just constantly going off, and being me, if I see a client message, I cannot say, oh, I'm going to respond to them in the morning at work hour. I have to respond to them, and for them it could be like a work hour, but for me it's not. So it's yeah, it's something that it's hard to learn, but you got to, and I'm trying.
Yeah, I could. Well, because what eventually happens, because I very much have a people pleaser mindset.
I do
But
too. Yeah.
what can happen? I shouldn't paint with a broad brush. What happens to me is you get into a cycle where you're just people pleasing, going so hard on it, and then you will just hit your limit one day, and then it'll be like a cold turkey hard stop,
Yeah.
and then you're going to neglect everyone because it's an emergency of having to take care of yourself,
Yeah.
and then that can actually then you might be unreasonably doing a 180
Yeah.
on your friends, on your family, on your employees,
Yeah.
whatever it is, and it can be very jarring for them, you know.
Yeah.
And it's not really anyone's fault, you know.
Yeah.
If you
Absolutely.
it's not their fault, you know what I mean. Like if you're people pleasing people, like they're gonna get used to you always being available, and
Yeah.
that's not really their fault. That's the tone that you're setting, and that's
Yep.
the cycle that you're creating. And any change to the status quo is always going to be met with a little bit of resistance of like, hey,
Yeah.
what's going on, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah.
Even though your change still is good enough, or should I say,
Yeah,
even more than average of what they will get from anyone else,
sure.
you basically gave a lot more. And now your decrease is still a decrease, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think a big part I'm trying to get better at, this is something I worked out a lot with my life coaching and stuff like that, is
Okay.
just to be more honest with myself about what my goal is when I'm people pleasing, and to be more honest with people, like when I'm hitting my limit, or
Yeah.
because like, you know, when you hit your limit, at least for me, like my instinct is just to do like a hard stop and just ignore everybody.
Okay.
And that's not really a very nice thing to do or very reasonable. But
Yeah.
I found that if you're upfront of like, hey, honestly, I'm feeling a little burnt out. Like I need to just take a few hours, sometimes just a few hours. It's like I need to unplug from the world for a few hours.
Yeah.
I've never been met with pushback from anyone when
I
you
don't
frame
think
it like
so.
that. Not
People who
ever.
care about you will probably not gonna
Yeah.
let you get into that stage. And if you are in that stage, they should be able to understand. If they don't, they probably do not care to begin with. So
Yeah, for sure. But at the same time, like it's no one else's job to be your emotional caretaker. Like, you
that's
know what I
true.
mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't trust or expect other people to be like, you know, Natalie knows really. I've been asking a lot of him, and he keeps delivering. Like maybe it's a little much. Maybe I should stop asking him for stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you just can't expect people to do that. Like
Yeah.
I get in that cycle some way where I'm like, man, how could they want anything more from me? I've given so much, or like you
Yeah.
know. But it's
I see what you're
at the same
saying.
time though, like you're co-creating that situation. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
it's
you fostered it.
yeah, you foster it. So you have to be have to just be direct with what it is, and then judge them on how they respond to that, rather than having some unset expectation that you think they're just going to magically know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're definitely right, and you're changing the norm by switching your normal character, or the way you're communicating or being available. So yeah, absolutely. No, I agree with you. It's definitely one thing. I'm definitely on the high achiever side of things. So
Yeah, absolutely, you are. Yeah.
sometimes there you go, confirmed. So so for me, it's anything lower than that doesn't satisfy me, and sometimes it's on expense of my own, of myself. So it becomes difficult to not be that. But I'm starting to learn that I need to balance things. I need to let go of certain things, and stuff that is coming on through experience, through personal growth, and also just going through it, right? Just
Yeah.
seeing it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you have to learn that some lessons the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So to get anything important done in life, I think you need inspiration, motivation, and then discipline to have,
Yeah.
like an idea that then turns into something. Which one of those things do you think is the most important?
Repeat the ones that you have: inspiration,
Motivation,
motivation,
and discipline.
discipline. Definitely discipline. Like
Yeah, I agree.
because the motivation is great, but would it last?
It never does.
Yeah,
It's
because
very
you can't
fleeting.
always be motivated. I've had days that I'm not motivated, to wake up
Yeah.
or to do work, or procrastinate, all that. And then inspiration wise, you also cannot be inspired every single day. You're gonna wake up, and also you're gonna do things that just make you feel down, or you just don't feel like doing them. It's just things that you put off. But the
Yeah,
discipline side, if I have to choose from all the three, kind of makes you do it whether you like it or not, basically.
right.
Because you have to stay disciplined. So
Right. Well, and I think a big part of it is being really clear on what you want out of the long term. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's always towards an end goal, right? Like
Yeah.
there's this great YouTube channel I started following a few months ago called The School of Life. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it.
I know it. Yeah.
They're amazing. They're
Oh,
just like
right.
these little, like 2 to 6 minute, usually videos about anything you can imagine having to do with life. But one of the things they talk about is it's kind of talks a lot about like hedonism, or like, short term pleasure, like the simple small pleasures of life versus like the long term pleasures. Like a simple pleasure would be like, oh man, I'm really hungry. Here's this delicious cheeseburger. I
Yeah.
want it right now. Or like, oh man, I'm exhausted. It'd be great. I'm just going to sit down on the couch and watch Netflix all night.
Yeah.
And it's like an immediate, instant gratification. Long term pleasure is like, oh, I want to be in good shape and be healthy.
Yeah.
That's like it require. But I think for those long term pleasures, you end up having a more fulfilled life. But it takes so much discipline to have
Yeah.
those things. But it's about being like very convicted on what those things are. Like whether it's for you, it's like, okay, my long-term pleasure is I'm going to have a successful business.
Yeah.
And that means that every day, whether you're motivated or not, it doesn't matter. You have to have you're going to have the discipline to see you through to that,
Yeah.
that long-term pleasure, that long-term goal.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so crucial for pretty much anything that you want to succeed at. Like it doesn't even
Yeah.
have to be business. It can be anything. Like anywhere from like a hobby that became, I don't know, like a sport, for example.
Mhm.
The discipline part and going there training all the time, or just simply playing an instrument, which I always wanted to do, but keep failing doing it because I'm not. It's not because I'm not motivated to do it or inspired to do it. In fact, I'm very motivated to do it. I'm very inspired to do it.
Yeah.
You can learn I don't know how to play guitar or something, but I just don't have the discipline to do it because it's not one important enough for me to do
Right.
it versus the other tasks that I have. Uh, and also, I just don't see myself like sitting down and remain disciplined. But when it comes to my business and work, it's like there's no question. You get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah, because like what you're fighting for.
yeah,
You know.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I fall back to what I was saying earlier. Just don't have a plan B. Well, that's a bad advice for most people. Like, have a
Yeah,
plan B
I get
in
it though.
reality,
Like,
but
yeah, I the romantic in me loves that like this
yeah,
is my life is about this one thing, and
yeah,
every decision and every effort I make is gonna make that happen, and
yeah,
failure's not an option. Like,
yeah,
it's
exactly.
I love that. Yeah,
I think that's the only way to succeed, at least for me. I
yeah,
know if I want to actually, I don't share this much, but uh, in the next 2 years or so, I do want to build a second business, and
oh, that's great.
I might not be something that I'm super passionate as I am with video games, indie games, etc. This is definitely always going to be the passion work, but I do want to
Yeah,
build something that I might have a little bit of passion for it, but it's going to be a lot more business interest than anything else. Uh, and I know for a fact that the only way I can make that succeed is going to be by having discipline and basically applying everything that I learned so far and doing it faster. Right.
yeah.
So
So, what's the business?
I have
Can you
no
say?
idea yet. That's the
Okay,
thing.
you just know you want to.
I just know I need to and I want to.
Why do you need to? Like, is it just like because you want to take everything you learn and then start a new thing from the ground up with all the lessons you know now, or
No,
what is the reason?
no, it comes back down to the first question you asked me, which is why do we take on this entrepreneurial journey when we
Yeah.
don't have to, or we're well paid, or we can be well
Yeah.
paid, right? It's just I have to, that's just
So
how I'm wired.
you want to struggle again. Inferno Zilla is getting too smooth. You're like, nah, I got to get down in the weeds again and got to like kill myself.
Well, we're not there yet. I want to make sure that we're to that point
Yeah.
where not necessarily I'm fully eliminated, but to that point where we're running a machine and we're doing pretty
Yeah.
good. Next year is going to be very exciting for us. I'm really working on towards growing us and having like predictability to things, and also continuing to improve our services and conditions within the team. Just the team in general, making just things very smooth. But I do see myself like after I'm more comfortable where it is at, which I don't think I will ever be fully comfortable because there was always going to be something that I want to improve and tweak and
Sure.
all that. But the journey that we came so far this year, if we even go half that next year, I think we're going to do way better than we did this year because we learned so much and we now know what is working and what our service looks like, how we're delivering it. It's getting a lot more smoother, right? So I want to continue to do that, but once I'm done with that, I know for a fact that I want to do this again just because I need to. Like I just have to.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I hear you. I mean, I know for me, I don't know. I'm not really sure like what I want for the long term. Like I know because I'm in my first entrepreneurial venture ever right now, like in
Okay.
very very early stage. But I'm enjoying it. I'm deriving a sense of fulfillment from it that I've never gotten doing anything else.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm very much a work to live type person, not a live to work person. Like I'm not a Natalino. You know, like I work hard. I do.
Yeah.
And I know the value that I bring to the table, but like
Yeah.
there's a lot that I want out of life that has nothing to do with work.
Yeah.
You know, there really is. I mean, I love to travel. Travel is like an absolute huge
Yeah.
thing for me. Man, honestly, that's one of the biggest things. I'm also a drummer.
Oh,
So that,
cool. Speaking of
yeah,
instruments,
yeah, that's actually how Bob and I came to come together. Is he poached me actually from another band to be the drummer of his band,
okay.
and
I
and
didn't know
I
all this. I'm learning a
yeah,
bunch of
this
things
was like
today.
10 years ago. Yeah, so we were all kind
Wow.
of like playing in this local music scene in Florida, and we all kind of knew each other. And then I became friends with his band, and yeah, he ended up like basically getting me to quit the band I was in and going to be in his band, which I did. And then I very quickly became the music director for his band,
Wow.
and which is kind of like the first example of like me being kind of, you know, the right hand man and helping run his baby. And
Yeah.
then that led to the Eat Games thing, and now here we are today. But
This is super cool. From music band coaching to, successful indie game studio, and now you're also in your entrepreneurial. Well, I think you're already in that because what you're doing with Bob is already like it's over. I don't think this is your first run, if that makes sense.
no,
Yeah,
I guess not. I mean, even though, you know, Eat Games isn't mine from a legal standpoint, but
yeah,
I do feel a huge sense of ownership though over it,
yeah,
just because I put a lot into it. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know how to be a part of something and not treat it like it's mine. I've
yeah,
always kind of done that because I just I don't know. I have to feel passionate about what I'm doing.
yeah,
Otherwise, I just can't do it. And I really like having a lot of like agency and discretion and control, which is nice, which Bob gives me. I mean, I pretty much, for the most part,
yeah,
um, just do. I don't want to say like do whatever I want, but like I'm my own boss. You know what I mean? Like I
yeah,
don't get micromanaged, and Bob very rarely has done that with me
yeah,
because that's not what he wanted me for. He wanted me to be someone that could basically act in his stead and
yeah,
make creative and business decisions, you know, on
yeah.
his behalf, and kind of, and fortunately we've nearly always on the same page with all that stuff, so it
Yeah.
just kind of
So,
works.
to be honest with you, sometimes I wonder if you guys are the same person because it's like I see just everything that's running smoothly, and just seeing that, like, when you make decisions, they happen very fast. And let's say, like when we talked about the website and everything like that,
Right.
you already spoken with me, you already had an idea of what you wanted to do, and it's like I was already talking to Bob, right? Like, and then you
Right.
went ahead, kind of got a confirmation from him, but it was already like, yeah, let's go, kind of thing, you know. You
Yeah.
already knew it was gonna be that direction, so I feel
Yeah,
like you guys already understand each other and work really well together. But that makes
we
sense
do.
now that you guys have already been kind of working together for the past over 10 years, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, you know, that's
Yeah, it's
awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, it's cool. We've had a lot of fun making stuff together, and
Yeah.
you know, I'm very good friends with him and his wife, and I'm actually the godfather of his daughter,
Oh, wow.
as well. So yeah, we
Yeah.
like to keep it all in the family.
Yeah. You guys are definitely, you guys
Yeah.
are no longer co-workers or anything like that. You guys are definitely family. So
Yeah,
that makes
absolutely.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. That's pretty cool. And that's rare to find, not just like people you're working with, but just in general, like that becoming such a solid friendship that you're moving on to different ventures together, and
Yeah.
you're part of your personal lives as well, which is awesome. Uh, really.
Yeah, it is. It's an interesting thing, because I think that we talk to each other more than any other people in the world besides, like, you know, he talks to his wife probably as
A
much
little
as
bit
he
more.
talks to me. I don't know about more. I'm actually not entirely sure. Probably about the same, maybe slightly more, maybe slightly
Yeah.
less. I don't
So
know.
you guys are pretty much
Depends on-
married.
We're pretty much married. Yeah. For good or for bad, we're pretty much married.
Yeah.
Oh
Hey,
man.
at least it's a happy marriage, so it's good. It's okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But it's been interesting with these last couple years with Eek because we've kind of gone from like kind of chaotic indie studio with this weird game to now we're almost done with this game. We're working with some of the biggest artists in the world right now.
Which I'm so happy to be part of.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be bragging all about it as soon as it comes out. Just
Oh
saying.
yeah. Likewise, I'm already bragging about it everywhere. Like I'm like, man, I really hope someone isn't recording me and putting this out because like we'd be blowing our load way too soon on that. But it's hard not to be excited about though. But
Absolutely,
it's been interesting now that we're at this level of like kind of business scaling and expansion and growth. Something that I've been talking to Bob about a lot is kind of trying to put like a stopgap in before we're making decisions of like, hey, whatever thing we're considering doing now, are we still like, is this what we want? Is this still us being creative? Is this something that we're excited about? And like, because it can be, and I imagine it can be for you too, like where you kind of have to find that line between like what's best on paper versus is this who we are? As because like this is the game industry, especially when you're a game developer, like it's an art. You know what I mean? Like we're not financial investors or whatever. Like we created a piece of art that
people enjoy.
Thank God a bunch of people enjoy it. Like for some reason a bunch of people like it. And you could say what you want about maybe why they do, maybe why some people don't, but a bunch of people like it. And it is an art, and it's like, and it's so important. It almost gets more important the more successful you are, I think, when you're commoditizing art to retain the integrity of what you're doing. Because at the end of the day, if people don't want to play it, then we don't have a business.
Yeah, exactly.
So that always has to be like the final filter that anything we want to do has to go through is like, is this who we are? Is this the vision that we have? Are we having fun? Like, are we excited about whatever the next decision is? And with all the big stuff that we're doing, that's like a huge factor that we always have to consider is you have to look past, you have to get the numbers right. You have to get the schedule right. But then it's like, okay, is this House Party? Is this Eat Games? You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I can absolutely see that. We're definitely not to that stage where we have to make, there can be, but a lot of the decisions that we've been making so far, we've been lucky to not have any investors or
same with us so far.
So like we can make those decisions in the freedoms to take the company in the direction that we want to make it, we want to take it to. And as we grow, a lot of those have also been involving the team a lot more than in the past. It was just, me just, waking up on the right side of the bed and making the decision, but now it's a little bit more team involvement as well. But yeah, so far for us, the main thing that I try in hopefully succeeding is what I was saying earlier, which is as we grow, I want to make sure that we're taking care of our clients and none of that personal one-on-one, like, hey, we're still a small company, like personal touch. It's like friendship, that aspect is not changing. And that's always my concern, which is the love and care that I put into the relationship with clients, not just the work, because I'm pretty sure our team is solid in terms of being able to deliver the actual work. They know what they're doing. They are passionate gamers, every single person that we recruit, and hopefully, and most importantly, to indie games. And then also they understand like what they need to be doing for those projects. Like we train them and they already had prior experiences. But all that aside, I want to maintain that relationship with clients in that um, like person to person kind of interaction, if that makes sense, and less of.
Completely.
I always say this as the easiest way to put it, which is don't act like we're a corporate. We're not. Like we're not
Right.
that corporate structure. It's just not us. Like we are still a small agency, a small team working with indie studios. That kind of relationship. I want to see our team members joking around with our clients. I want to see our team members trying to um, like be personable and interact with our clients, not just, hey, thank you for your inquiry, sir. We'll get back to you in 24 hours. Not that. So
And I think that I think that's something you do so well, and I think that's like part of your brand is, and it's weird because like it's personal and it's also good business. I think to have that
yeah,
personal touch, I think it's all of the above. And honestly, in my anecdotal experience, no matter what business now, the whole like stick up your ass corporate thing, that's so tired. Like no one
yeah,
wants that anymore. They
yeah,
don't. I don't care what business. I don't care if you're in a Fortune 100 company or whatever. People want to
yeah,
talk to real people, especially
exactly.
where like in a physical sense we're also disconnected now. Like everyone just wants to like joke around and just be real humans.
Yeah,
In business, and I don't know. I think that's better business. I really do.
yeah. No, I completely agree, and I get this feedback a lot from the sales calls that I do, those initial discovery calls.
Yeah.
I get a lot of people commenting at the end of the call saying, "Hey, Nat, like regardless of me working with you or not, they feel like they did not go through a sales call. They feel like they just had a conversation with an individual that they were
Yeah.
able to connect with and genuinely have a conversation with. And that's what I try to do. I don't have a script. I don't have like, I do have a structure in mind on how I go about my discovery calls because it just works and it's structured and it's not like a messy call. But at the end of the day, it's like human interaction. Uh,
Yeah.
and even
Yeah.
if I'm purchasing something, which by the way, the call I was on to just before we jumped on was actually with a team that's gonna be coming on to help us onto our sales funnels, our sales letters and stuff like that to kind of help us
Okay.
scale next year. So I was
Nice.
talking to them
That's great.
about that. It's gonna be a huge investment for us. Like we're still small, so it's not an investment like you guys are making, towards those artists and stuff. But for us, this is huge time commitment and investment. But I feel like when I had that conversation with that person, if they came at me with like charts and like corporate jargons and like scripts, how does this make you feel? That kind of like sales jargons, etc. I probably would not even be interested. But the person I spoke with was very much so onto conversation. We just had like random chats in the middle, and we're just able to interact with one another, like generally people to people. And I feel like that is genuine. There's nothing being hidden or
Right.
that I'm basically forced to buy, but I'm basically getting to know that person, gaining the trust, um, and at the end of the day, understanding their service. And if it fits within what we're looking for, then we work together. So yeah, that's what I feel about it too. I just don't like corporate structure where everything is like sugar coated, because let's be honest, like most corporate structures, they're just fake. They're just
Yeah.
they're just
Completely.
like people acting on the front end in that way, and then in the back is completely different.
And
Um,
and when you put people into those boxes, like you are like as a manager, as a leader, I think that when you do that to your employees and to your
yeah,
team, that you are just squashing 90% of
yeah,
their potential of what
yeah,
they can do
yeah,
by like trying to make it like a one size fits all thing and
yeah,
always answer this question this way. And it's like okay, you just took an individual with limitless potential and you've just put a very low ceiling on what you can ever possibly get from them.
yeah. Just like
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, just squashing them down. I mean, like that's a huge thing with Eat Games. I mean, I I'm spending less time with the team than I used to as we're getting busier with the business growth stuff. But like, I very much take the attitude of like, like with our artists and whatever of like, hey, this is kind of something we want to do, but like, what do you think? What do you think would be the best way to do this? And even if you don't always go with their opinion on it, but like you can learn so much from people too,
Yeah.
just by asking their opinion, what they think would be the best way of doing something, and giving them some opportunity too, like give people an opportunity to lead and present something or present an idea.
Yeah.
Just like let people rise to the occasion, and I think they will more often than not if you give them the
Yeah.
opportunity.
Speaking to that point, that was one of the hardest challenges that I had to, and still overcoming, but definitely initially it was such a hard challenge for me. And it has to do with a little bit of what I touched on earlier, which is letting go
Yeah.
of things. Because for me, Infernozilla is my baby. It's something that I work really hard on, and it's hard to allow people to be themselves and trusting and letting go and kind of letting them kind of take care of the things that you've been building. Like, I have to constantly comment on something, or I have to constantly like put in my opinion, or I just don't let them, do their own thing, which they're very much capable of doing. And it's not like a trusting or something. It's more of an issue of I just have to touch,
Yeah.
So Tanya does a really good job of basically saying, "Hey, Nat, you're doing that thing again," and I've been getting really better at it. Like, it was very bad, especially like around the start of the time when I started building a team, but nowadays it's getting a lot better, and to the point of everything is being taken care of by them, and we're actually seeing the benefit from it, because every time I come in the middle, I'm actually not contributing. I'm actually damaging most of the time, because there's information that I don't know, because I'm not at every single meetings. I'm not at every single. I don't know the full facts before I even make comments or involvements into those. But by me not doing that, I'm allowing the teenies to grow, to make mistakes, and also at the same time to understand, hey, like, I'm spending time here that is not helping, that could have been spent somewhere else that will actually help way more. Sometimes I do have to stop myself still, but it's something that you learn the hard way. I think it has to do with starting things from scratch alone, and not having a prior experience of not necessarily leadership, but actually leadership, and letting go for people and trusting people to do things. But it's super important, especially as you grow. But yeah, that's one challenge that we had to overcome.
Well, and I think it's one of those things where, I mean, do you want to babysit someone every second of every day? I mean, the amount of work that is. So it's like, you either, I guess it's like everything. There's a balance where you want to stay connected to all your people and kind of know what they're doing, but let them do it and stay out of their way.
Exactly.
And basically, if someone can't succeed under those conditions, then they're probably just not the right fit for your company.
Absolutely. That's the best way to put it.
Yeah.
And if you don't let them, you don't even know if they're the right fit. And even if they are, you're actually, like you were saying, you're limiting their potential. You're basically not letting them do things. It's just simple as that. Even though I do understand that has been one of the most challenging things for me to overcome and to learn. And it has to do, like, the only reason I'm getting better at it, which I believe I'm doing really good at it now, has to do with my team members. I'm actually saying, "Hey, Nat, like, stop, cut it out,"
Yeah, that's awesome.
Luckily, I have a very unorthodox relationship with my team members. At least the ones that feel like really part of the team, that I know, like, they really feel part of the team, are the ones who don't see it as, hey, he's my boss or something like that. Like they see it
Right.
as, hey, Nat, what's up, and we're just like making jokes, and if I'm doing something wrong, they're calling me out on it. So we have a very different relationship with what it would look like in a corporate structure, which I try to avoid, being the structure or the attitude within the team. So
Well, I learned a saying from my grandfather a long time ago, and it's that you're not the man if you have to say you're the man. And I guess that
yeah,
might be a little bit of an outdated expression now, a little patriarchal sounding, but it's like you
yeah,
don't have to be heavy handed to get respect from people.
yeah,
You really
absolutely,
don't. And props to you for creating a space with your team where they feel safe, that they can be like, hey, now why don't you back up? I got this. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And that for them to feel safe to say that, because maybe they're right, and maybe you do need
they are
that
right.
bump and that reminder, and that's
Yeah,
good. That's good that you have a space, and it's very much the same at Eat Games too. I would say it's very, like, we do good work together, but it's very casual. It's very
yeah,
informal. There isn't really a pecking order or anything. Um, Only like when it's not very often that Bob or I will have to be like, hey, stop, do this. Like,
yeah,
we don't really ever have to use language like that, because we just don't have to. That's just not the way we work. You know what I mean? And like, there was we had someone in the past that we kind of had to be that way with, and guess what? That
there's
person's not,
always,
that they're not here anymore.
yeah,
So it's like, if you can't, it's another one of those things where it's like, hey, this is, know the culture that you want, and if someone doesn't fit into that, then it's not a good fit, and
yeah,
they're not going to be happy, and you're not going to be happy. So it's better
yeah,
for everybody for them to not be there. You know,
yeah,
eventually.
absolutely. And we have also had, multiple team members that we were not happy with, they were not happy with. We're just not a good fit to each other.
Yeah,
And it just, like you were saying, it becomes an environment where it's not comfortable for neither them or us, because
exactly.
that's just not us.
Yep.
But I feel, especially our current leadership team, like, Tanya, Mark, Katie, Joshua, all that, all of them, uh, we're at that point where I feel they understand who we are,
Yeah,
and
totally.
what our culture is like, even though we have only been working together for what, like a year, 6 months, depending on who it is. Well, Joshua, over I've been working with him forever, even
Yeah.
before Inferno's and that. So he's been with me for quite a bit now. But uh, like what, 3-4 years, I think. But the rest of the team, though, I feel understands where we're at. And before we got there, that we had to go through certain people in the middle. People we have to
Sure.
bring on, drop off, bring on, drop off.
Hmm.
Uh, but you find those right people, and when you do, yeah, it becomes a lot more fun as well. So
It's more fun. Yeah, it's great. You output more. Yeah,
yeah,
it's good.
and it shows on the client delivery side,
Yeah.
that day to day, just the environment. Like, one of the weaknesses that I have, not just as a business owner, but as a personality as well, I don't do well with like small talks, and I don't do really well at, like, I'm an extroverted introvert, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Um,
it's funny. I don't really get that from you at all, though. Like, to me,
yeah,
like, you're such a personable guy.
yeah, but it also depends on the topic that we're talking about, right? Like,
Sure.
uh, if it's something I'm super passionate about, like every time I talk to you, we're talking about something I'm passionate about, right?
Yeah.
But most of the time, like, people who know me, like, I've had people who say, "Nat, like, before I talked to you and actually knew you, we thought that we were scared of you. Like, we're scared talking to you. Like, I'm not even
That's funny.
talking people like in my age. I'm talking like people even way older than me. They're
Yeah.
scared to approach me or talk to me, because I guess I have this demeanor of like super serious, like business, like, like, don't talk to me, like, kind of person. I don't know. Um, uh, but for uh, for the core stuff, though, I am definitely, uh, like, if you know me, like, I'm very much engaged, and I approachable per se.
Yeah.
But going back though, one thing I'm not really good at is that small stuff. And when I was building this team and as we grew, I was not really doing well when it comes to like, hey, like let's have a game night. Let's have a party on the camera. Like I'm like you were saying earlier, work kind of person.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, when people ask me what do you do for fun, I'll be like, I work and I really enjoy it. Like I generally do. Like not every kind of type of work that I do, but there are certain type of part of my job that I really enjoy, and I honestly do that when I get bored. Like when I cannot sleep, I go back to work kind of person, which is weird. But going back though, when we brought team members like Tanya and even other team members on the team, they started adding their personality into the company. Now we have like game nights on certain Fridays. Like it's not like a scheduled one, but they just schedule them depending on how the team is feeling, or if things are slowing down and there's not much to do. They do like a game night at the end of the night. They do like if there's a birthday of somebody, they'll choose a game to play that night, and we kind of do like a small bonus for everyone payment, so that way everybody can buy their own like meals and drinks for the night, and then everyone just like
that's cool.
goes on camera and like eats and stuff like that. So we've been doing a little bit of like important culture things that I personally am weak on, because I don't even think about it. I think like, oh, we're just going to work, right? But like the team members that we've been adding though, they're starting to build that culture among the team, and I am super into it because that is my weakness, and people are supplementing that weakness. That is so important to have. But I know that I will struggle doing it because it just is not my personality. I have to think to do that. I really have to like be conscious to do that. But for others, it comes naturally. And when it does, it's like, oh, this is so perfect. Like we're actually building this, and this is becoming culture. But yeah, I just felt like that's one point to talk about. I had a question for you.
Sure.
Do you feel the aspect of casual like work environment and what we were talking about earlier has to do with also the industry that we're in? Or would you say if you are in a different industry, you would do the same thing, and would it be easier or harder to do?
So it's a great question, and it's something that I thought about earlier as well when we were talking about this. Of course, this is all opinion and anecdote, but I think that casual translates into everything. I really do, because like what does casual mean? Right. I mean, I guess like to me, when I think about what, if you really were to distill down, like what does casual mean? It's authenticity. It's like when you're most casual, it's when you're least trying to be something and
you're
just
yourself.
You're just being. And people, we're wired to feel very comfortable around people when they're being themselves, when they're being authentic. You see them as more attractive. You see them as confident. You see them as trustworthy. You see them as all this stuff because they're just being them. They're not trying to sell you something. They're not trying to impress some facade upon you. So now I don't know every business in the world. I'm sure there are businesses where maybe that may not be advantageous, but I know, like in my experience, I've been in a lot of different industries, and I'm fortunate to have a lot of friends that are in a lot of different industries. And the ones that take the most, I'm a human to you're a human approach, they are the happiest and they're more successful. I'm talking like a good buddy of mine, John Cunningham. He's a financial advisor, and he is just like the most down to earth guy. And that's just how he is, whether he's working or whether he's playing, he's the same person. Whether you meet him in the office or you meet him at, a club on Cinco de Mayo, which is where I met him.
Okay.
You're getting the same guy no matter what. You know what I mean? And it's like that's who people want to do business with.
Absolutely, I agree. And I agree with you. Like, I think our industry does motivate that. I feel the space that we're in creates that. Like, I think people, before a career, it is a passion for a lot of
Yeah.
people. Like,
Yeah.
it is for me as well. So it's so easy for us to be ourselves and like be goofy and like nerdy about it, and really just like in a good way, not in a the negative connotation of that, but like to just be ourselves and like just be bubbly about it, and be genuine about it. And I also feel like it's not it's not seen as, oh, you're not being professional by being yourself, because the space just motivates that casual environment, and I love that about it. I was at PAX West. I told you, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
Uh, and when we went there, uh, we met a lot of like-minded people, and I felt like in my natural habitat,
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like, this is my people, like, this is perfect. So uh, I don't have to be what I'm not,
Mhm.
which is not my uh, it's not unnatural. It's just me. It's just me being me, and it just being interactive and all that kind of stuff. So I'm so happy to be in this space. I feel if I was in a different space, it might be a little bit different. Um, it might not motivate you to be yourself, at least from what I saw. But I have to experience it, I guess.
Yeah, I would agree that I think the game space, especially the indie game space, it definitely encourages and embraces and fosters that more than perhaps any other space does.
Yeah,
It was definitely a transition for me because when I started with eGames, I was in my I guess mid 20s, and coming from kind of fresh out of college, and then
yeah,
like I became like a restaurant GM and all this stuff, and I kind of learned to be very professional, and all my writing was very professional. And Bob actually had to kind of coach me and be like, "Hey, you working for a game studio, like you can kind of tone it down a little bit." And I'm
yeah,
like, "Okay." And then I just kind of sank into it, and like really, like at first it was like an act almost. It was like, "Oh, how do you write like a casual email?"
yeah,
And you're almost kind of fabricating it at first, but now it's
yeah,
like, no, it's just me being me, and it's you're gonna get the same me whether it's a WhatsApp or a text or a phone call or an email for the
yeah,
most part. And Yeah, definitely, especially like in the subset that you work in, the community space.
yeah,
Um, the gaming community, like they want devs to be real people, and they want to connect with them as real people and feel like, oh
yeah,
man, this person is just like me and they created this game. Like, that's crazy, that's so cool. It's
yeah,
not like some no reply at ubisoft.com. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
You don't know who developed it,
You're
who's doing
right.
what. You don't know who you're talking to. You might not even get any response, if at all.
Right.
Uh,
Right,
but
exactly.
we're in this very unique space where it has its own challenges. We have a lot of we have clients that just like really trying to make it work, really trying to get their first game out there, really struggling to
Hmm.
get it done. And then we have clients who are really like succeeding in the space, like you guys, like we're just to that point of, okay, how do we scale this even further more? Like
Right.
start thinking big and thinking maybe about their second project and or expanding their current one. So it has its own challenges of being an indie studio, but at the same time, whichever ones that you ask, they are super passionate about it. They're very genuine and they love what they're doing. It's just nobody that I've spoken with that is in the indie space have ever said, "Oh, I'm in here to make money." Well, making money, there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like make as much money as you can. Uh, Great, awesome, like all in for that. I'm a business person, I'm all in for that. But uh,
That's not why you go into indie
yes,
gaming, though.
like you
Like,
don't want to start indie gaming to
no.
make money.
No,
That's
you don't.
so like it is just amazing community, right? Like the passion, the authenticity, and all that. It's just I don't think we'll see it in most spaces. That is one thing I love about it, which is what I meant earlier. If I do get a second business, which most likely I will eventually, I don't know if I'll have the same passion as I have here or as much as this, because I feel like I'm on the maximum passion that a human being can have
Yeah.
in this space. I don't know if I have any other passion left for anything else. So
I mean, you just I think as long as you're being you and just bringing that to the table, like you're going to be passionate and excited about it. I mean, like think about who you are and what you do and your personal systems and processes, your brand, your tone. That's universal. It doesn't matter what.
I think that won't change. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what it is. You know, whether it's you're working in the game community or whatever it is, just be the overachieving Natalino that sleeps like a bear, that has his nerdy, perfectly lit office, and
exactly. That's not changing. It's probably staying the same because this is what I love. In fact, I might need some more lights in here.
I'm so jealous of your office.
You like it? Do you like it? Yeah.
I love it. It's awesome. Like it looks a little bit like an OCD cry for help, kind of, but I really like. No, just kidding. It looks amazing. It's so cool. Like that's what people like. I feel like that would be like on Pinterest when people are like, oh, I want to have like a gaming studio office, and it'd be like inspiration board. That'd be on their inspiration board. What you have there.
Yeah. I am. This has always been basically what you're saying, which is what if I look at a Pinterest or something and me getting excited, saying, "Hey, I want something like that." This has always been my vision, and slowly throughout time, I have items in here that I've built like 5 years ago, but slowly like putting together. I bought this mic like 3.5 years ago. Like things slowly coming together and building the actual. Like what I want this to be. More than this, it's just gonna be like it's just too much, like you're being super like technical about things and stuff like that. But I think it is where I want it to be. And when I come in here, I feel very excited. Like this is like my getaway,
Inspired by your space, man. I mean, that's so sweet. Like for me, so I'm going to be starting to build a house hopefully pretty soon. Cool. Building my first house. I already own one.
Building it.
Yeah. Like right now it's just a patch. It's a forest right now. And eventually there will be a house in it. but I have a vision of like what I want my like studio office space to be. And it's these very conflicting ideas of like, I really like kind of like old school, like I collect antique books. So I kind of like have a picture of like that comfy leather armchair and like oriental rug and the nice bookshelves, but also like I want like a LED lit trophy case with all my Star Wars Lego sets in it.
I don't know. Those two come together.
I'm not sure how to marry those two together yet. But.
You might need 2 rooms now. Like you might need a VR room with another one actual work office. I don't know. Maybe you're gonna need to do both.
See, I like your answer because in that one, I don't have to make a choice between 2 things. I get everything I want. So
that's basically what I do. If I cannot make a choice between 2 things, I'll just get both.
Yeah, so. I oftentimes do the same thing. Yeah. Or someone's like, "Hey, John, do you want this or this?" I just say yes.
Yes. Which one?
Yes. Yeah.
I know. I relate to that. It's. It might not be a good advice for most people, not being like you can't just have everything, but sometimes you can.
If you have like a ravenous appetite for life, though, then I think you can go for it.
Exactly. I think I do. So
absolutely. Well, listen, it's been a couple hours, and actually speaking of Star Wars, I got to go. Do a little self-care and finish the Star Wars movie I started earlier today. So
which Star Wars? I have not watched any single Star Wars. So
what?
Yes, I'm not 1%.
Okay, so we're gonna have another episode then.
We're gonna
unpack that. We're gonna unpack that. Oh my
No,
god. So I mean, does my answer even matter then? What difference does it
I'll
make
just
to
be like,
you?
oh, cool.
Oh, so
Because
I
I will not
could have
have
just
any
made
idea.
up some random name. Oh, Star Wars, blah 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 blah, and you'd been like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I love that one. Yeah,
Well, I will say that, but I'm like, interesting. Oh, cool. Okay.
yeah.
Awesome. You know.
Listen,
Um,
you should make some time for Star Wars.
I
Um,
think I will actually. I think I need to sit down and binge watch it. That's one thing I actually do a lot, and that's my bad habit, which is sitting down and binge watching stuff. Like a Saturday will come around, and I'll
yeah.
just sit and watch one thing that I was supposed to watch in a whole year in just one night.
What do you like? Fantasy, sci-fi, drama, comedy?
The first answer, like I'm okay, music or movies, etc. I watch almost anything that is good. Okay,
Okay, sure. Yeah.
but the first thing that comes to my head that I'm like, if it's that's my first choice is medieval adventures. Um,
Yeah. Yes.
like
You're right up my alley. Yeah.
yeah, like
That's great.
Vikings,
Yep.
Romans,
Yeah.
Greek mythology, that
Sure.
kind of stuff. So that is my thing. Like if you give me anything for that, there's not enough of that out there either. Um,
No,
I'll
we're
just
getting more of it now than there used to be, but still not enough.
yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to video games, even like if you give me anything like that, I'm just consuming it full on. It's bad. I'm currently like playing a lot of Age of Empires. I don't know if you
Oh,
ever heard
yeah.
of it. So
Absolutely. Yep.
Age of Empires 4 came out. That's actually my
Mm.
dream client because I grew up on that.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but the problem is they're published by Microsoft, so no,
Mm.
I don't know if they're very much of an indie anymore. Well, they're not, but yeah, we'll see though. We'll see. Who knows?
Hey! I bet you if you made that your plan A, no plan B, I'm sure you could get it done.
Yeah, I've never reached
Yeah.
out to them, so we'll see. I'm gonna start reaching out to a little bit of the higher echelon of indie games slash
Yeah.
small team triple A's soon. So
Why not?
we're gonna see. Yeah, I think we kind of add a lot of value, especially the Age of Empires community is great, but the community is mismanaged, if managed at all. I hope they don't ever see it. But I mean, it is the truth. It's not managed at all. I'm part of
I,
it, so I know.
I hope they do see it, because if they do, then they'll probably be knocking down your door asking for help. So
I know, right? Hopefully, yeah. By the
have
way,
you seen? Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, you're fine. I was gonna say before we close the meeting, I would love
Yeah.
to share an idea with you, but what do you call it?
Off stream or
Off stream, yeah.
Okay, sure. Okay, so yeah, I was just gonna throw a couple suggestions at you for binge watching stuff, because
Oh
like
yeah, no, please.
you're right in my my favorite territory there. I actually just finally watched for the first time Britannia. Have you seen that show yet?
Britannia. That sounds so familiar.
I think that's an Amazon Prime show.
I watch everything on Amazon Prime, so that's
It's yeah, so it's kind of like a borderline fantasy medieval show about like when the Romans invaded what's now the UK, I guess. It's very interesting. Really, really cool.
I feel like I've watched this. Have I? No, I have not, but this is like exactly what I'm talking about.
It's awesome. And one of the most amazing characters, he's so incredible. Did you ever watch the BBC Office, like with Ricky Gervais?
Mm-mm.
Or what about the Pirates of the Caribbean movies?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, so the two kind of like Dumb and Dumber pirates, like that are always
yeah.
and the one with the
I
glass
think I saw
eye.
one of them here actually on the pictures that I'm looking
Yeah,
at.
so it's the like the really lanky guy that has the glass eye in the Pirates of the Caribbean. He's one of the main characters in Britannia, but he plays like this super.
Oh, I
He's
see
a
him.
druid, dude. He's
The
incredible.
guy with the tattoo on his middle of his head right now.
He's
I see him.
amazing. He is amazing. Yeah,
Man, he looks so different.
Yeah. Well, I think they had to do a lot of facial prosthetics, I think, for his character and stuff. And
Yeah, I can see.
you'll like that show. It's fun. It's a very different take.
Have you watched The Vikings?
Yes. So yeah, spoiler alert if anyone's watching it. So I really loved Vikings until Ragnar was killed off.
Yeah, I agree.
And I loved it. I loved it until then. And then I just totally lost interest right
Yeah.
after that. I tried, but
Did it even end? I don't get it. Like
no, it's
feels like
still,
it
no. There's
ended.
been like 2 or 3 seasons since then. Like it's still going.
No, I mean after season 6, the last one, where someone gets stabbed and stuff like that without spoiling on the beach.
Oh no, I don't. I'm not sure. Like I
You
think I
might be
think I stopped
behind.
watching after like season 3. I think.
Oh no, you're like halfway into the show.
Yeah, because like the main character I liked was killed off, and I got bored with it.
Yeah, it gets a little bit better. Like you get used to it, but
Okay.
it's not gonna
Yeah.
feel the same because he
Yeah.
was the show, in my opinion.
He was,
I
yeah,
mean, the
yeah.
show's name. Well, actually, it's not Ragnarok, but it might as well be because
Right.
everything is about him. But no, like this is a great recommendation. Now,
And one more.
you just ruined the Thanksgiving for my family members because.
The last one though I got to recommend. Okay, is
Okay.
So we have the 2 artists on our team, Zig and Lai, and they're both from the Netherlands.
Yeah.
So Zigga recommended the show to me called Norseman, and that one is actually on Netflix, I think. Norseman.
I've seen the ad. Oh yeah. I
It
thought it was a
is
documentary.
no, it is not a documentary, unless I'm thinking of the wrong title. But the one I'm thinking of, I'm pretty sure it's Norseman. It is like a Dutch Viking comedy, if that makes sense, and it is hilarious. It is so fucking funny.
Okay. Dude, I've been wanting. Okay, from now on, I'm just gonna message you, be like, "Hey, I finished this too." In the next 2 weeks, and I'll be like, "Can you tell me another one?" Because this is my thing. Like, this is what I really enjoy. This is what I watch to, I don't know, to like re-energize. After I watch these, I'm either sleepy or very energetic to get to work. So
Yeah.
this is my thing. Absolutely.
There you go.
Super cool. But I really enjoyed this. It was awesome, to talk to you, whether that is on podcast or no podcast. Always a pleasure. So, no.
Yeah,
had a great
likewise.
time.
Thank you so much for your time. I respect and appreciate what you do and what you've created so much, and I feel very fortunate for us to be clients of yours. And I hope that it continues to be a good fit for you, because we're definitely we're not going anywhere anytime soon. I don't know what we do without you at this point.
Honestly, like
we'd be screwed.
you're one of the clients that we have that I have such an emotional like connection with having you guys as a client. So if you guys, for one reason or another, now become a client, I probably will be like sad for at least a full day. Like it will literally affect me personally. So,
and that's when you'll start the new business, because it'd be like, you know what, this isn't for me anymore. Yeah.
I'm out. No, like genuinely, we really love working with you guys. Not just me, it's the team as well. And I don't say that about every single client. We have amazing clients. Almost everybody that we work with is amazing, but we do have those special clients that we really, really feel connected with, and it's just a pleasure to have. And to be honest, you guys are also part of the journey that we're on, and you are building us. Like for us happening, like growing and becoming who we are, you are playing that role. So
I feel very much the same with you guys. You've been a huge part of our transition into how we operate and do our business. It's, you guys are like a foundational part of just who we are now. So
and if any of that starts changing for one reason or another, I want you to make sure that you call that out. I want you to say, "Hey, Nat, like we love working with you guys, but it's been different. We don't like this. We don't like that." Because I feel I want to make sure that I maintain that trust, respect, and just what we have now throughout where we're going. And I'm working very hard to maintain that and to keep that. That's like number one priority. But what I always need, and I always ask from our clients or anybody who engage with, is that feedback of, if anything changes, just let us know. And as soon as you do, trust me, we're gonna take it really seriously, maybe too serious. So yeah,
no, I appreciate it. I don't see that happening, but I'll definitely keep that in mind, and vice versa. If you ever, you get that dream client and it gets to the point where we're like small potatoes to you guys, I actually want you to lie and still act like we're one of your biggest, most important clients, and that we're still super foundational to you guys, no matter how big you get. So if you could return the favor and do that, then that'll be great.
No, like for us, it's not like the client size is not even there, man. Like for us, any of the clients that bring on any kind of like revenue, profit, whatever, like work amount, no work amount, it's just, to begin with, the team doesn't even know like what client is big, what kind is small. Like everyone is treated the same way. I might know, but at the end of the day, you chose us compared to 100 million directions that you could have gone in-house. Like for sure, like you could bring in-house people. You guys can afford it 100%. You could work with so many other agencies out there, but you chose to engage with us, and that is, for us, that is huge, right? Like that, we don't take that for granted, So we want to maintain that respect and that trust that you guys have for us, and I can guarantee that we will. By the way, speaking of the Norseman, I'm pretty sure I opened this and I thought it was a documentary because I saw, like, I just skipped a little bit and saw it, and I just saw this image of this guy naked just standing next to, like, on a hill or something, like chatting up. I saw that scene and I honestly thought it was a documentary, and I closed it.
So one thing. So this is, like I said, all those people are Dutch. It's a Dutch company and a Dutch production. Dutch humor is super dry and sarcastic, like so dry.
Maybe that's what happened.
So dry. Yeah. So you just gotta like
power through that.
No, I mean, to me, that's what makes it amazing. But like, it's funny. I could see, like, if you were not used to that you're like, man, because I remember that first opening kind of dialogue. It's so dry, and you're like, oh, because it's where they're about to commit that like ritual suicide, right?
I think yes,
on the edge of a cliff.
That was happening,
yeah, where it's like, oh man, this is really dry. Like I could see where you maybe would think it was a documentary, but do
you like The Office?
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, so that's one show that everybody likes that I don't like.
Okay. Well, which The Office, the American one or the British one, or both?
I didn't know there was two of them. Oh my god! I just know one, the American one. There's two of that. Oh my god!
Yeah. That the OG is the British one with Ricky Gervais, BBC.
I just couldn't get into it.
That is very, very dry, but I hear you. Yeah. Wow. So no Office, no Star Wars.
Yeah. Star Wars, I might be able to get into it. It's just I never gave it the chance. I think that's what it is.
So what I will say with Star Wars, I'm one of those. I'm a release chronological purist. So particularly if it's your first time watching it, watch it in release order, not in episode order.
Really?
So the first 3 Star Wars films were episode 4, 5, and 6, and then they released 1, 2, and 3 years later. And then the most recent ones are 7, 8, and 9.
Why?
It's
like the Avengers.
You don't even know. Like, you're unpacking. That's such a loaded question that all I can say is watch them in release order. Just take my word for it.
Okay. Is that like Avengers, like the DC universe and stuff like that? Not the DC universe, the Marvel
MCU.
Yeah.
The MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Because when they release like crazy, but if there was like this list that I followed to watch each of them and actually watch that in like a series, and it connects to each other and it actually starts making more sense.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, that list where it's like all of them, the one-offs and the Avengers movies where they're all in actual chronological order.
Yeah,
that is not what this is that I'm recommending to you. No,
okay,
it's not. No, it's like, it's more of like a storytelling choice. You know what I mean? Like they chose to tell the story in a certain order, and I think that you get more from like the prequels by it kind of like answers unanswered questions in the original 3 movies that you were fine with them being unanswered, but it just paints a more interesting history that you almost needed those first episodes to understand the significance of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right. Well, all right. I'm gonna try again. This has been like the longest goodbye ever.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's how it always is, though. Every time we talk,
Yeah, it's my team always says that I am guilty of that. So that's one of my thing. You can never say goodbye to me. You just have to do it.
Yeah. No, I can be the same way. So all right, but
Yeah.
all right, I'm gonna do it because I know there's something you wanted to ask me about, anyways.
Yes.
So we'll end this now.
Okay.
All right. Always a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely. Same here.